Go ahead, Chad.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Warwick Zoom Garden Plot, Season 2, Episode 12, August 9th, 2021. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to move to the next slide and show our agenda for this evening. As usual, garden updates. And, you know, I got some pictures, but again, feel free. We're all showing things should really be growing at this point, and now's the kind of the meat of the season where we got pretty much everything coming out. Tomatoes and peppers probably soon, and I think Sarah, well, I don't know if I put that picture in, but Sarah's even doing second plantings, right, of beans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. And then the Q&A and then announcements. So is I don't know if Shannon's here. Is she yet? No. We'll start.
Maybe jump to Sarah's slides for the community garden first, and then.
So don't look, close your eyes for these. We'll come back to them. Warwick Community Garden. I'll text Shannon. So this is Sarah. I think she did send another picture, but I'm not sure if I included it. Sorry. And you could explain why there's a little play button there. Sarah, go ahead. Thank you.
So this was, I'm like the last person in the world to get a cell phone, and I've yet to figure out how to properly take a picture. I hit video by mistake, but anyway, this was just an idea of our harvest from this last Sunday. We've got the cherry tomatoes, which have started. The large tomatoes are just beginning to maybe turn, and that seems to be the same story all across the northern tier of the United States, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. There's some beets there. Our beets, we pull up our beets individually as people want to use them, and they're pretty much depleted. In another week or two, I'll take out whatever is in there and we'll plant something else. The beans, we have 2 varieties of bush beans and 2 varieties of pole beans. And actually our first planting of beans is beginning to wane. We had some monster bean harvests because they come on, you know, pretty thick. But we've planted over, I realize you can't see my pointer. On the left-hand side, the trellises where the peas were, we've planted 2 sides of runner beans.
Is that it? Am I pointing to the right place?
Yep, that's it. So there's 2, on each side of that trellis, there are runner beans, climbing beans, and they've actually, in this last week or so, they're up about 1.5 feet high, and some of them started climbing. And I've been it's very dry. I put the irrigation on like yesterday morning and left it on all night and today, actually, to just get some water in there.
Did you get rain in Warwick?
Nothing.
Oh, wow. Greenwood Lake had a pretty big rainstorm.
I know. I was watching the weather report eagerly, and I saw it, and it just touched the edge of Warwick and just ran away.
Wow. That's fun.
You know, I have a question about that. You know, they say you're not supposed to water in the middle of the day, like you spray the leaves while the sun is brightly shining on them. But like a rainstorm like today, it was like it rained just a little bit, maybe even barely got the leaves wet, and then the sun came out pretty quickly. But that didn't seem to like burn all the plants. So, but have other people observed this happening in the past?
People are always asking that question. I don't know the answer. I don't know. Oh, look, there's the beans.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
I've heard of watering at night but I've never heard during the day it causes an issue. I mean, at night you get the fungal diseases if the leaves are wet. But
no, I have seen. We have the Swiss chard and the greens that will last all summer. We keep under a row cover, and in past years, people would come out with a hose and spray the Swiss chard, and it'd be like all full of little burnt holes all over the place. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where the picture went.
Wait, sorry, I'm trying to be good and show people talk. All right. So you wanted to show the other one? This one? Oh yeah. So that's a
harvest part.
That's a close up of what you were talking about, right? Yeah, that's nice.
I can't see it.
We can't see it.
Oh, crap. Here we go.
You got this, Chad. You got it.
You got it.
You can do it. You're doing a great job. Share your screen.
All right, wait. You're not seeing this?
No.
All right, started out good. Maybe I shouldn't leave the screen again. Oh wait, share screen. Maybe that's why.
That's why.
Well, why is that an old one? What the hell? No. Oh wait.
You did it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay. See, I knew what I'm doing.
That's Michelle's.
I know. Don't rub it in.
Sarah.
All right. All right, but I think that's those. I think you did send another picture, but I don't think I include. I just have these three for you.
All right. So anyway, these are peaches. We have an orchard. So we've had a pretty good peach harvest. They're winding down. I think there's another tree starting. The zucchinis, I only gave you the pretty picture. I didn't give you the ugly picture of the zucchini borers who have like wiped out half of the zucchini plants. But there's a second and another third zucchini plant planted. We've got the cucumbers, and on the left-hand side, you'll see lots of basil, celery growing, parsley growing, peppers, and our giant sunflower. So, you know.
Giant sunflower.
Yeah,
giant.
wow.
Giant. It's huge.
I know.
No flowers, though.
It's the most amazing sunflower ever. It appeared several years ago.
Look, a little rainbow too, see?
Yeah, see that? It's some sort of strange crossbreed, and it appeared several years ago, and I threatened people with their life if they hacked it down, cut it, or destroyed it, because I considered it a magic totem. And it comes back in different forms every year.
And I love the way they follow the sun, like bending towards the sun.
Yeah. Normally we've usually had a lot of sunflowers, but I was told to like cut back on the sunflowers this year. It was too many sunflowers. So anyway,
that one doesn't have to bend to the sun. That's like literally right up.
That's right.
It's right up there.
I'd like to throw
one thing I wanted to ask, do any of you grow tomatillos?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we've planted tomatillos in the past, but they were weeded out because you know how they kind of look like a weed. So they were very clearly marked this year and pointed to, et cetera, but they're not filling out. How long does it take for them to fill out?
I don't know.
Mine is already filling out.
Oh yeah, mine looks like it has, the nice lantern thing, and it appears to be, I have two of them. They both could be growing well, but I don't know. I've never grown them before. I don't know when they're going to be done filling out. This
is my first year, and I just made salsa verde. Rick made salsa verde tonight, our first batch, and so they're ready. Yeah.
No, mine have the poofy shell, but it's all full of air.
Just hang in there.
How long did your seedlings take? Because mine were looking pretty wimpy when it got time to plant.
Well, I have seedlings I bought because my seedlings were, I have two different sections. I have the plants I bought and then the ones I grew. And the ones I grew have almost caught up to the ones I bought. But yeah, my seedlings were very wimpy looking. But but they're growing. They're growing.
Yeah, it's true. My seedlings, I did not think they were going to make it. And you're right, Sarah. I almost did pull them out twice because I thought it was a weed. And thank God I stopped myself at the last second. And they are growing quite large. And I find, and the bees seem to
bees like them.
Oh, wait longer then. Yeah.
No, I keep waiting. I just wondered, people who had been growing them, if they had an idea of when they're going to be ready. I've got the tomatoes, I've got the cilantro, I need the tomatillos now.
I'd like to share something fascinating that I learned about growing zucchini. So
yes, you mentioned that.
One of the things that I really have really loved about our Zoom garden plot is, we had 2 or 3 well-trained gardeners out there, and they explained all the different things that they tried, and they all concluded none of them work. Just do succession planting. That was the conclusion of the experts. I was visiting my family who now live in Texas. I'm not from Texas, but I was visiting family in Texas over the last weekend. I went to a farmer's market. I bought some of the itsy witsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot zucchini. Mm-hmm. And I talked to the zucchini farmer about, well, what do you do about those vine borers? And he says, he doesn't know why, but if you have a big patch, you don't have them. So he has like a 200-foot row of zucchini and it doesn't have a problem with them. Mm. Wow. Isn't that fascinating? And
fascinating, but I need
200 feet. Texas?
Well, he knew what I was talking about when I said, he knew that people that grew small plots always had this trouble. I assume even in Texas. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. My zucchini's growing, and then it's not doing. My cucumbers and zucchini and the community gardener. It's like coming out, and now they're starting to. We've only got 3 zucchini so far, so hopefully.
Is it just this year, or is that every year? Because this year, I think I've seen a lot of problems with squash. Yeah, I'm trying to grow cantaloupe and watermelon, and they're terrible this year.
Last year I grew a lot. I mean, this is the first year of my community garden. In the backyard, I grew like 45. But this community garden is not going well.
We had the opposite problem. We had none last year, and this year we've had a nice amount. And now the plant.
The borers win.
The borers win. But we did get quite a few before they won.
I was going to say, Camille, you said you had last year they had a ton of cucumbers, and this year you said not so much, right?
We lost the cucumber plant really early this year.
I think it's because we had such a wet and like chilly, relatively speaking, chilly like early summer that my plants never really they need the heat. I think the cantaloupe and the watermelon really need the heat and the humidity, and we got the humidity, but we didn't get the heat, so they're floundering. They're not doing well at all.
I've gotten several watermelons, little baby melons, and my honeydew isn't doing anything.
Yeah.
But the baby melons are, I've gotten 3 of them so far, and there's a 4th one forming.
Have you harvested any?
Yeah, they were good. The first one was pretty large, and I thought, I wasn't sure if it was ready yet, so I got it and cut it, and it wasn't deep red, but it still was sweet. And then the others I left longer, and they've been delicious. Lots of seeds, though.
I was just going to ask you. I have that problem with my individual, like they call the smaller ones individual melons or like icebox melons, and they're delicious, but they're so seedy. Yeah. But it really just emphasizes for me that we're eating like sterile fruit from the grocery store.
Yes, that's true.
Oh,
I'm so funny. I'm always like preaching around the house. We get my son these seedless watermelons. I'm like, this is so not natural. And then last year, I grew watermelons, and I was like, this is annoying. I'm like, every second, I'm spitting out like 500 seeds. I was like, all right, maybe they are. There is a reason for that.
And I want to backtrack to Michael's comment before about the guy in Texas telling you to grow like 200 feet of zucchini. For everybody here that grows like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 zucchini plants, do you have more zucchini than you could possibly eat in the entire season?
Exactly.
Could you imagine 200 feet of zucchini?
No, that would be devastating.
Are you going to feed all of Orange County?
Right.
That's where you bring them to our food swaps. Grow Local Green Lake, Wednesday night, extra stuff.
We'll have like 15 people show up, and when there's like 4 zucchini plants really start producing, it's like threatening people. You're not allowed to leave unless you take a zucchini with you.
I've heard of people getting zucchini bomb like in their mailbox, that they just open up their mailbox and there's zucchini.
Sarah,
so this is the first year I've tried to. Somebody said that you can shred them and freeze them.
Yeah.
So I've been shredding them in 2 cups. Bags, and now I have a freezer full of 2 cups shredded.
Yeah, I never tried that.
Yeah, we'll see. Works perfect.
Zucchini bread.
I would try to remove as much water from it before you freeze it, though.
Yes,
you have to drain them well.
Really well, because all the ice crystals will just annihilate.
That's what I thought. It would end up being mushy with the water. Okay.
Well,
Right.
Camille made great zucchini cake or bread. It was delicious.
Delicious. Thank you very much.
Oh, and Sarah, before I forget, the next time if you could take some, I want to take some pictures of the orchard as well. If you could if you could figure that out with your phone, I would like to see how the trees are doing by you guys.
Okay. Sure.
Because they have an amazing garden. Not only do they have a community garden, but next to it is an orchard of very nice fruit trees, which is not, you don't always see that in a community garden. So that's a nice extra. All right, so I don't believe Shannon is showing up, so we're going to skip over hers. Maybe we'll show it at the end or something.
I have a question about peach trees. I saw peaches in that last photo. Because I have a peach tree and there are two parts of the trunk that are really too close together. And I looked the other day and one of them has that amber looking sap coming out of it. And I was thinking I need to get that. Did I talk about this last time? Get it cut off, because there's one trunk that's in great condition and the other one that is very close. And I should have cut off right away. Is gotten that oozing sap. I've forgotten now. I looked it up what that is called. Have you ever seen that?
Is it kind of jelly-like?
Yeah, it's like oozing.
That's a Peachtree Borer. That's an insect that's actually boring into the tree.
Okay, so now it only is affecting one part of it. If I cut that section off, do you think it's also still in the other part, just hasn't yet bored through far enough to start oozing? Yeah,
well, I mean, they're probably beetles. They bore and then they turn into adults and then they'll infect it again. So, but yeah, if you either cut it off, or I've also heard if you just like cut the wound out and put in the tar, the old-fashioned tar they used to put on the wounds of trees, that can prevent it from reinfecting or But I would definitely cut it off and get rid of it either way. Get rid of the borer.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Leslie, how big is this branch? Like huge? Or,
No, it's actually a very slender.
Oh yeah, so you're fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cut it off. I just definitely cut it off and get rid of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark, because I actually know absolutely nothing about fruit trees. The orchard group is part of the vegetable group, but Jeff Howard runs. We have other people who manage the orchard. I just eat the fruit. But that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's great.
Very good. Shannon has said she's joining us right now, so perfect timing for her update. Let's see if well, I guess we can answer a question. Mike, you let me know when she joins. Is she joining? Yeah.
Whoops.
No, Shannon, because she says she's joining right now.
Go ahead with the next question.
All right, so this is Michelle. I had a question for everyone. Should I cut back my squash plant? Obviously, that's doing really well. Well, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's taking over the whole garden. I was watching Monty Don on Friday night, and he was cutting his back ruthlessly, and I was sort of cringing. I really don't know if I should do that. I mean, I don't want it to take over my tiny garden, but at the same time, it's sort of taking over. Does that introduce potentially diseases? Is it going to make it more attractive to a vine borer? Do people cut their vines? Anybody else in the real world, not just Monty Don?
That kind of squash is not a zucchini. The zucchini that have the vine borer, that kind of squash is not the same, right?
It's a winter squash, right?
So I have on there delicata squash. I have butternut squash, the minis. I also have on the other side, I have a zucchini rampicante, which is a vining zucchini.
Oh boy, so you got a lot going on. So
and somewhere in there's a watermelon. It's really a lot of squash.
And some nasturtium, is that what's there too?
Yep, nasturtium.
Yeah.
So what do people do? Do they cut these back?
I'm afraid to do that.
Yeah, I've never done that.
But if you saw Monty Don do it, maybe
Yeah.
I guess because they're so temperamental and you're so happy to see them grow that I don't have the guts to, at that point, cut them down.
I think I once saw a permaculturist from Australia talk about eating squash leaves.
Oh, we eat them.
Oh, you do?
Cook them?
Yeah, I cook them in soup, but I'm not a big fan of the texture because it is still slightly fuzzy, even if you cook it for a long time. So it's not my favorite thing, but I mean, it's edible.
I cut off just the ones that are not deep green. Some of them, you know, have little yellow sections around the edges, and I cut those off.
Okay.
But I leave the ones that look healthy. I just leave them.
Okay.
I've done a pretty good shearing in the past of some of my squash. I mean, I go by the rule, same thing with trees and things. You could take out up to a third, right? Especially for me, I've done it for air circulation in the past. And if I've been dealing with different kinds of like a powdery mildew or something, you know, on the leaves, because you need that air and things to go through and the pollinators and everybody to be happy in that little ecosphere. So, I mean, I've done it. I've never had a problem with some of the questions that you were asking about, you know, introducing disease. I'm careful always about how I snip things and trying to let, you know, if water were to come to just kind of swoop down and not puddle on top.
Yes.
So, but it
So
looks
there you go. So we have someone who's done it. Also, Michelle, what is it covering up?
It's just, if you look at it to the right there, it's beginning to cross the path and it's going into my kale beds. It's going into my peas and lettuce beds in the back. On the left, it's taking over my, my tomatillos, my ground nut. It's just taking over.
Have any small children in the neighborhood gone missing?
Yeah, right.
There's a tunnel. They could get lost in there.
That's the kind of thing that you'll find. So, like, I didn't even know that was growing in there. Are you getting a lot of production from it, or not?
Yes, monstrous amounts of food.
I followed Nicole's advice about tomatoes, and it's been great. So it probably works also for this.
Yeah.
I appreciate the endorsement, Leslie. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it made a big difference. And I have some happy friends that have plants.
Nicole, hold on. We have someone who sent Christy Effer. That's coming up. She thanks you guys a lot. She said you guys really helped her with that tomato advice.
Oh, no problem.
Did you repeat it? Yeah, I wasn't there.
I don't know what I said.
Well, no, I'll show you when we get to the pictures.
Okay.
I will say this. I trimmed my father-in-law's plants a couple of weeks ago, and he had some really big suckers. And I just tried, like, I cut the sucker off, and I just popped it in the soil next to it. I did it like 6 times. 5 out of the 6 of them took.
Wow.
And plants that, I mean, some of them were between like pinky and ring finger of, you know, diameter of stem with no root hormone, inoculant, no nothing, straight in the dirt, totally tick.
Wow.
All right, Michelle had another question, and then we're going to take a little shimmy, and then we'll go to Shannon, who has joined us. Why am I not moving? What's going on? There we go. And also, you got another problem. Cucumber, same thing, right? I guess. Oh no! Why? Oh, the spots, right? You said.
Yeah, what's up with the spots? If anybody knows, it seems to be more on the right than on the left, and also more severe at the bottom than toward the top.
I have the same thing, and I haven't figured out. It's some sort of fungal disease.
That's what it looks like, or bacterial, but
yeah,
it's probably from the humidity and the weather. The fungal diseases tend to spread pretty quickly when you get high humidity and those lower temperatures. Well, it depends on the fungus, but yeah. And
I have Yarrow Tea that I'm going to spray. I know the biodynamic people always make yarrow, or they use a yarrow extract. It's probably biodynamically prepared preparation, but I have the Yarrow Tea that I'm just going to spray on and see what happens.
It would only probably prevent it from spreading, but it's not going to prevent it. It's not going to kill the fungus that's already attacking the leaves. So any new growth, it might prevent from getting fungus if it works. I never heard of it, but if it works, but it wouldn't cure what you have there currently. It wouldn't kill that fungus.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you. I'm getting bumper crop of cucumbers, so no worries.
Oh, okay. So
you know, what we did was we went in and cut out all those really damaged leaves and put them in a separate bag. And that opened up the vines to let the cucumbers that were growing develop, and they're still blooming. Now I notice it's spread to the other side, so I'm going to trim those back, but it allowed the plant to not die. I've seen that before, and after a while the plant just kind of withered up. So I'm trying to prolong its life because we have, multiple people to feed. So just, cut off those damaged leaves.
Mm-hmm.
It'll delay. It'll delay. It won't.
Yeah, that's a good. That's true. If you keep on top, even with tomatoes too, when the bottom leaves start to turn yellow, if you get rid of those leaves, it's not going to cure it, but it could slow it down.
Yeah,
good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, I just did a quick preliminary search, and a couple of things said that it can be an iron deficiency, overwatering, and I actually just shared a link. I don't know why it says potatoes, but it's
I saw that. Thank you.
Common disease problems with cucumbers, and those yellow spots are there. So check it out.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, could be nutritional as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just what I'm harvesting right now. I don't know how many of you are familiar with these gooseberries. They're Cape gooseberries. These are what I grew up with. When somebody said gooseberries in South Africa, this is what we have. They're, I guess, not hardy here. You grow them as an annual. They're sometimes sold at hefty price tags at the specialty markets. And they have, the little husks around them, like the tomatillo. They're in that family. They're on the same ripening schedule. So we're harvesting about this much every day. So it makes a lot of
those ground cherries? That's another word for it, or no?
I think so.
Yes.
You're correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought ground cherries and tomatillos were similar.
They're all in the same family. What do they taste like? Do they taste
pineapple-y, almost like a pineapple flavor?
Oh, yeah.
It's delicious.
So they're sweet.
Very sweet. And when I tasted a real American gooseberry, I was like, oh no, this is a gooseberry. I don't know what you grow here. They're wonderful.
All right, take it easy. Okay, thank you so much, Michelle. We're gonna shimmy in place for a minute just to get up, and Michael likes to introduce this part, and then we'll come back, and Shannon will give her update.
Does this part need an introduction? Here we go, folks.
Michael, tell us to move more and our bodies will feel better.
So Martha, the tradition is that, to sit for an hour is supposed to be really hard on the body. So we encourage people to get up and shimmy in place as much as we're tired of sheltering in place. That's what, when we were sheltering in place, it was.
It's a good idea because I'm on the computer all day at work, and that's because we're still not back in the office, and we have meetings that go for like 2 hours, and we don't do that. And so then you get up after like a couple hours and your body feels like it's been, like you're 90 years old.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to go back in September.
Hold the phone. Has anybody tried the Skidger? Did anybody actually try it yet?
What's that?
You did? Michael, it's a garden tool. What'd you think?
I was thinking it would be really cool if maybe we were all to come over to my house and you could do like a 1 or 2 hour long demonstration on how this tool works.
Nice.
That would be so cool.
Come on, it didn't make weeding so much easier.
It for some of the weeding it does. It has really helped, but I don't think I quite have the hang of it though.
Okay.
That's why I would really love to see you work with it.
You need a 1 or 2 hour demo.
You probably have a perfect sledge, whatever the hell you call it thing.
I don't know if I have great form, but I can try. If you need a hand in skiddering, Michael, I'm your girl.
Okay, so now we're gonna go. Now that Shannon has joined us, she's gonna give us a little update of our garden.
Sorry about the delay. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so the one on the right is my berry patch. I have weeds that are coming in that are all beneficial edible weeds. So I have purslane growing in the very bottom. If you look at the bottom, that's purslane, and then up is strawberries, and then up is blueberries, and then strawberries again, and then blueberries, and at the very top is volunteer orange bell peppers. So that the tallest one in the garden, the tallest thing in that bed is orange bell peppers. Wow. They're just starting to flower now. All of the stone next to it is going to be the bed that I'm going to use. I'm going to use that to build the bed for my herbs next to this garden. So I'll show that in a future picture. The picture on the left is sunchokes. So those are sunchokes. Oh, sorry. I wasn't fast enough. Those are sunchokes. The stuff coming out of the ground are sunflowers. The pot behind the bird fountain is mint. And then behind the sunchokes is a volunteer tomato plant that's kind of like taken over everything back there. But those are sunchokes. Jerusalem artichokes.
And you're growing them in pots. Yes. Fascinating.
Yes, it makes it much easier. It's much easier it's much easier to harvest. I know it seems like you have this set on a timer, but I'm going to veer a little bit.
Oh, no, not.
So the sunchoke, something that I found out planting them in the pots that I didn't know is they need, I think it's vernalization, where they have to go through a period of cold. They need that. I didn't know that they needed that because I had saved mine in sand over the winter to eat, and then was like, oh, I'll just take some out of the sand and put them in the dirt, and they never grew. But the ones that I put in my refrigerator to eat that I forgot about in the back of the refrigerator in some water started rooting. So I took those out of the refrigerator and put them in the pot. And I took the ones that weren't growing in the pot and put them in the refrigerator for 24 hours, 24 or 48 hours. And then I replanted them, and now they're growing. So so sunchokes do need a period of vernalization in order to germinate. So now they're germinating. They're real late, but they're germinating. And then when I go to harvest, I basically just upend the tarp onto a pot and collect all the sunchokes out of the pot and leave whatever you leave in the dirt is going to grow next year. So you just can't leave a bunch behind.
So just 24 hours in the refrigerator was enough to do it?
I kept it in there for 48.
48, okay.
And it was enough. It was definitely slow. I would recommend a little bit more time, but I was so anxious to get them in the ground or get them in the dirt so that they would grow. These are not the ones that were in the fridge. These were the ones that were like in the fridge going to eat.
Okay.
So I have a picture of one of the ones that I put in the fridge for 48 hours and then put in the dirt later, unless it didn't make it through. I sent so many pictures.
Wait, is that, I'm looking for, oh, okay. Sorry.
No, go in order. Okay. So the one on the left is potatoes. So it's red potatoes. The center one was russets, but I harvested them. Now I put purple kohlrabi in there. And then the other growing one is red potato. So it's red potato, purple kohlrabi, red potato. And then the one on the right is borage. All the blue flowers are borage, which is an edible flower. And then this is where my zucchini was before the squash vine borers destroyed it all. So I took the dead zucchini out and put my cucumbers in. So those are cucumber babies. And then that's the sunflower. Now on the end there, on the very right, on the end, I took her advice and put a seed in for zucchini. So we'll see if it sprouts. But I still have yet been unable. I opened a new seed packet. It's totally different seed packet. So totally different variety of black zucchini. So we'll see if it works. But I have yet to be able to get zucchini to grow from a seed.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you have plastic wrap over that blue
No
bin?
No, I do not. I have tulle over that.
Tulle. Okay. I'm sorry. Couldn't figure it out.
No, it's fine. It's tulle because it's a brassica, and brassicas get eaten by bugs real easy. So I cover my brassicas with tulle because you don't need them to flower. Cool. So you see right on so the right side, that's bok choy covered in tulle. Because slugs and caterpillars really love bok choy and brassicas. So I have it covered with tulle so that it gets the sun and the light and the water, but it doesn't get the bugs.
Do you have to pollinate that, Shannon?
No, it's bok choy.
You're harvesting the leaf.
You're harvesting, it's a leaf, it's a green. The only time that I let my bok choy flower is when I'm done with it and I want the seeds. And by that point, they can eat it up. All right, so since we're on the right, I'm gonna go up. So it's bok choy at the bottom, and then that's sweet potato. And then up from that is a red potato, and then up from that is purple potatoes, and then you can see my volunteer tomato plant growing in the very back. And then on the left side is my neighbor's garden, and he's got beets and carrots and basil, some marigolds too. Picture on the left is that giant volunteer tomato plant in my front window garden that I was talking about before. That's a volunteer that just took over everything. And then my bee balm is dying slowly behind it. No, that's meant on the right behind it in the bed is where I planted bee balm before the tomato took over. Yeah. So my poor bee balm is very upset back there, but the bee balm is a perennial and the tomato is not. So the tomato will die and I'll cut the bee balm down, and then theoretically next year there will be more bee balm in the bed. This is my Malaysian squash, courtesy of Michael. Michael was kind enough to gift me a squash last year when I toured his beautiful garden. If you have not toured Michael's beautiful garden yet and you get an invitation, I highly recommend doing it. So he gifted me a beautiful Malaysian squash and I ate it and it was delicious and amazing. And of course I hoard seeds from everything that I eat. So I hoarded the seeds and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them growing. One's in a pot. So the one at the very back is in a pot. That's an experiment because these things get big. The ones in his yard that he gifted me from were monstrous. They were monstrous plants. So, and I don't mind them taking over my whole lawn. They can go ahead and do that. But
they're like larger than footballs, would you say, right?
The fruit, yes, the fruit was huge. It was bigger than my forearm. Longer than my forearm. Very big. But the plants themselves were ginormous, like 30 square feet of space. So these can take over the yard, but me growing it out of that pot in the back is an experiment. Again, I built beds for the purpose of growing these. So they're growing out of the lawn.
Thank you. It's very impressive. Yeah. And you do a lot of great container stuff, which is something we don't always see. That's a great thing to be looking at. And it looks like you did all, because you just moved in, right? Like you hit the ground running.
I moved in April.
Oh, wow.
Any time.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I moved in April 9th or something like that. I moved in, but I was upset because it's warmer down here. So I was upset because it was like I was really behind. But yeah, so hopefully my season will be a little bit longer too. So after I harvest the potatoes, I'm going to be putting in Swiss chard, kale, more kohlrabi, more bok choy, and I'd like to put in some peas and see what happens.
Do you have rabbits at all?
No, I live in a very, very, very urban area. I am like 10 minutes from Philly. Okay. It's extremely urban here. We just recently started having a skunk visit us, and I'm really excited about that because I have a lot of grasshoppers and I'm really hoping that he eats some of them. I've seen some rabbits down the street, but no, it's not like that. I mean, we have stray cats,
but they won't bother the plant things though. Yeah.
Oh no. And at this point, these plants have gotten so monstrous that, I don't think they would really put much damage on them anyway. The little guys that I think they would really go for, I have covered in tulle.
I have a question about, you said you put the Jerusalem artichokes in sand. How did they keep over the winter in sand?
Yes. So I tried 3 different methods of preserving a Jerusalem artichoke. I'm so sorry that I sent like so many pictures and they were large photos. So they like had a lot of trouble going through, and I know I sent a picture of the Jerusalem artichoke, but it didn't make it.
Yeah, maybe I
didn't make it. But anyway, so I tried 3 methods of preserving because if any of you know how, when you get a Jerusalem artichoke, it does not keep very long. So I tried the method of keeping it in the dirt. Bye. Sorry, Michelle. So I did a method of preserving them where I basically dug them up and then I stuck them back in the dirt in the pot. And then I did a method where I got sand, like I went to Home Depot and bought play sand, and I bought a 50-gallon container to put it in, and I put they just covered them in sand. And then I tried a method where I put them in a jar of water, like carrots, and put them in the refrigerator. And I did it 2 different ways. I did a jar of water using my well water when I lived in Hewitt, because I lived in Hewitt at the time. And I used my well water and put it in my refrigerator. And then I gave my boyfriend 2 or more, and he put them in a jar, and he used his city water and he put it in his refrigerator. And I ate some, but the object was still try and leave them in there and see what would happen. So my well water ones turned into a funky creature all of its own. Like moldy, nasty, like it was like a SCOBY. It was nasty. So I set that free out in my backyard. And then the ones that I put in the dirt got away from me. It was like the second that the thaw started to happen, they went through the vernalization, so they took off. So, and there were so many in there that they were taken off, I couldn't separate them out. So I basically gave the entire big pot to my neighbor when I moved and said, good luck, here you go. There's going to be a bunch of sunchokes in there, have some fun, and left her the giant pot. And then the ones in the sand were stored inside my house in the sand, and I could go out and get them right now. I could dig them up out of the sand right now and eat them just fine right now. And like I said, I could stick them in the ground and they won't grow because they didn't go through a period of cold that tells them to grow, which is good for me to know, because I had an idea about selling them on Etsy, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't just go ahead with that, because if I sold them on Etsy, people would be pretty pissed because they don't grow. I would need to put them through a period of cold before mailing them out. So the sand is the best way to keep them long-term. The cold water is the best way to keep them short-term, and don't put it in dirt unless you want it to grow.
And when you had it in your house in sand, was that a cool place or regular?
My bedroom. It was in my bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You really live with your vegetables.
I do. I mean, it wasn't like a big container. So yeah, and you can see, just so you like right in this picture on the right, you can see one of my water barrels. I do water catchment. So I have a barrel that catches water from one of the roofs. I have a double barrel system in one of the pictures that didn't make it through, but that's my single barrel system, and that pumps directly into this bed. And the borage seemed to like it. The zucchini were doing real great until the squash vine borer took them the hell out, which is very upsetting.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Looking great. And we have Michelle left us, and now Gail. You just asked a question.
It's already been answered.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I guess you were having the same issue with your leaves turning yellow.
Did anybody suggest, just out of curiosity, with the turning yellow, has anybody brought up cucumber beetles?
Could be that. A lot of times they spread fungal diseases.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the beetles themselves, but they'll spread a fungal disease. And once it gets in there, the fungal disease, it's like just clean it up as best you can and hope it doesn't spread. You can, but you really can't do much.
Yeah, it's like they spread wilt.
Yes, they spread bacterial and fungal diseases, and they're ubiquitous. They're all over. I mean, you can spray with some kind of like neem oil or safer soap to kill the beetles, to cut down on the beetles and try to prevent the spread of them. I've done that, but it's really difficult to keep up with them because there's just so many.
All right, and it's Christy Effer. I spelled her name wrong.
It's actually Erfer is her last name.
Erfer. She does the website for us and does attend some of these sometimes, and she posts these on the Sustainable Warwick website. But she said thank you to Michael and Nicole for the great advice on trimming the bottom of the tomatoes.
She was starting to ask me advice. I said, we just had a long discussion about that, and Nicole from Tomatoes R Us gave a long explanation, and that she should. So she went and watched the video and then sent her picture.
Yeah, so she said,
fantastic.
She look at all that stuff she trimmed, and she said she's like booming production now. It's great. So she wanted to thank you.
Growing more flowers and fruit than you want leaves. It's important.
Yeah.
And one other thing I want to mention about her. She was the person who last year shared the before and after pictures of having a plant full of tomatoes, and then the one where after the chipmunks had stolen practically everything. She was the one who shared those last year. So she is really one for growing lots of tomatoes in containers. That's her go-to. You know, I think her gardening space amounts to that space on the deck or something. So
I realize that people watch these stuff later. Oh, sorry, what?
How big is that container? You think that's like 3 feet by 18 inches or something?
Yeah, well,
I have one like that.
It's like a grow
about
box.
that size.
It's a grow box, right? I think that's what she said. It's called a special grow box.
Do you water specially in it? Sorry.
Yeah, it's got a built-in reservoir on the bottom. I have one like that.
Here, right here.
And you have pipes that you match up, and then you compact the soil, and you water it in the pipe, so you're not watering the leaves. You actually water the reservoir, and then it feeds out of the reservoir. So it prevents you from splashing water on the leaves. But you do have to change soil out every year. They recommend that you put new soil in every year.
That's what I've been growing the melons in. It's not a grow box, it's an earth box, the same concept.
Right.
And they've been doing really well.
Yeah, that's impressive growth for that little pot really bursting out.
One question I have about growing tomatoes on the deck, I tried that the first 2 years I was here, and they were doing, I thought, really well. And then one day I opened the deck door and a groundhog was sitting in the pot with the tomato. And I thought, okay, that's that. They're too close to that. But it's like the thing crawled up. And this is not one of the earth boxes. It's like a 3 foot high wide pot. And it was sitting in it and eating the tomato. It's like, well, I guess Christy isn't here.
I was going to say, well, it does seem like she's high. Like this is more of a porch. It does seem like it's up in the air. I'm noticing just from the angle.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 sets of 12 stairs to get to the top of my deck, and the groundhog can climb stairs.
Oh yeah.
I guess if they get motivated.
They're the terrorist of the garden.
And chipmunks too.
I have to keep them away there. Yeah.
Because I grow a tomato plant on my deck every year just as a backup, to get so I have quick access to it. And last year, I don't think I got one tomato because the chipmunks would just eat every tomato as it got ripe. And this year, I have cherry tomatoes, and I'm pulling like probably a couple hundred off the plant. I don't know why they haven't seen it yet, or I don't understand their behavior, but they haven't gotten one yet. So
and no groundhogs in your pots?
I have groundhogs, but I have a raised deck. Deck they have to climb the stairs, and I have a little dog.
Okay, the dog I don't have, but I was surprised that they got up 2 sets of stairs to get to it.
They're nasty. I mean, I guess they got to live too, but boy, they
but I don't like them that close. They're not nice.
I guess they have to live too. I like that. I guess we can't kill them all, but wish we could.
No, you can't kill them. I just want them to leave.
Yeah.
Look, for a good-looking tomato, I'll climb 2 flights of stairs. Don't tempt me with it this time.
So Marie of the she couldn't make it tonight, but she did send a question of the library. I didn't put her last name. Sorry, I should have. Michael might remember. She sent a picture of bee balm and Russian sage, and she asked us when's the best time to cut these back, and is there a method of doing it? Without killing stuff. So if anyone has any advice on that?
My understanding was fall, like before the frost.
I leave my sage all winter, and I cut it back in the spring, and I cut it way down. I only leave about 6 inches, and it comes back really lush and thick in very little time.
Sorry, spring, you mean what, like March or like?
Usually the end of March.
End of March?
Yeah. And the butterfly bushes, it's the same thing. I leave them all winter because I like the form, even though there are no flowers on it. And then I cut them back also the end of March, not as severe a cut as the Russian sage, but I'll cut them back halfway.
Yeah, Shannon, that's right. Most people, that's what I hear, but you could be right. I do hear doing it at March.
I think it depends on the type of plant. So bee balm, because I put bee balm in my front thing, which means I did a whole lot of research on bee balm. And the one on the left, that's a butterfly bush. I don't think that bee balm and butterfly bush are the same thing. I think they're 2 different things.
Yeah, the butterfly bush, you can. I have that in my yard, on the back of my garden at home, and you can hack it down to the ground, and it'll come back. It's almost like a weed.
So when
very invasive butterfly bushes. That's why they're very invasive.
So bee balm, bee balm is in the mint family, which means it's going to spread like crazy. And everything that I read for bee balm maintenance said in the fall, cut it down like you think you killed it, but you didn't kill it. You brought it down to as low as it could go, and then it overwinters, and then in the spring it's supposed to come back. As far as my sage, I never did anything to my sage. And that's not true. I cover everything with row cover in the winter. So I've been told you don't need to cover depending on the variety of sage because it's real cold tolerant. I've been told you don't need to cover sage, but I do it just because I'm covering everything. So I don't cut it back. I don't do anything. I just cover it, but I am going to cut back my lavender this year. I've heard that you need to cut back your lavender. So I'm going to cut back my lavender and I'm going to cut back my bee balm.
I would wait till the spring to see what kind of damage you get over the winter, but I would definitely cover it. The lavender I would cover with like a burlap or some kind of wrap, because what happens in the winters, you'll get not so much the temperature, but you'll get, if we get lack of snow cover or a lot of winds, it desiccates the plant and it dies from desiccation, not necessarily from the cold.
I cover my stuff with row cover. None of my stuff goes without row cover. I cover because I tend to try and have a garden throughout the entire year.
You'll notice a lot of times. You'll notice if we get a wet winter or a very snowy winter, the lavenders and the sages will do much better because they don't desiccate, because they get the constant moisture, or they're protected, insulated by the snow. But if it's a dry winter and it's just like you get a lot of wind, I'll lose a couple of lavender every year because they just dry out, or I'll lose chunks of it.
The hard way. I lost a lot of lavender because I had some really wet winters and it did very well. And then, so I didn't touch it. And then one winter it was really dry and not much snow and it was a mess. I had to pull it out.
And the other thing with lavender, it absolutely can't stand, same with sage, same with most of the plants. Well, I should say like rosemary, sage, thyme, they can't stand wet feet. So they have to be kept in a very well-drained soil.
They're all arid. They're all Greek. They're all arid.
Well, those plants, they're all from the Mediterranean. Most of those herbs are from the Mediterranean, and the mints are just the opposite. The mints have to have wet feet. If you can't overwater a mint. There's no way to overwater a mint. But the ones that come from the Mediterranean, that Mediterranean climate, they have to have very good drainage, and they also like a sweet soil. They don't like an acid soil. I've actually taken lime bags, and I had like 10 lime bags that were left over, and I mixed it with soil, so it was like half lime, half soil. I planted 4 lavender, and they grew like crazy. They can just, you need to keep the soil sweet with those plants, because it's just, that's the soils around the Mediterranean tend to be, and same with California, tend to be alkaline. We have the East Coast has the acid soils, but the West has the alkaline soils. So that's where they like to grow. So.
What about, let me ask you this question, because I have a friend who had a beautiful line of lavender in the spring, and it grew so tall, like it fell so, like, far and wide and over. It just couldn't contain itself. And she's had it there for like, I want to say 3 years. She was thinking about pulling it all out.
That's another thing too. They tend to be, they're perennials, but they're not long, and they're shrub-like. They're not really shrubs, but they're shrub-like. Because they have that woody stem, same rosemary. After a couple of years, they tend to just go out, fade out, no matter what you do to them. They don't last forever. I mean, if you can get 10 years out of a lavender, that's a pretty long lifespan. Maybe 5 years average. They don't last forever. From what I've seen, I usually tend to replace 1 or 2 every couple of years. So yeah, I mean, if it's the way I do it is, if it gets so raggedy that it's not worth looking at, or it's ugly, I just yank it out. I mean, it's there to look pretty and have nice flowers. So once it gets to the point where it's not producing flowers and it just looks kind of bad, I just pull it out.
So that's where all my research was saying that you do the cutting in fall to prevent that woodiness. So that is why, as I understood it, you cut it in the fall, because then in the spring, the new growth comes in and it's not woody. But if you leave it there for the spring, it's going to be woody. I'm really sad because when I moved, I took my 6-year-old lavender plant with me and it didn't survive the move. It didn't survive the transplant, but it was doing so good before then. But it was woody because I never cut it back.
Yeah.
If you don't cut them back, they get woody.
But that's what the plant's supposed to be. You're kind of forcing it to be like non-woody by cutting it back. The plant by nature is a woody plant. It's a semi-shrub. So, I mean, you could do it that way, but you're kind of forcing it into a situation that's not a natural situation. I can send pictures in the next meeting. I have a bunch of lavender that I tend to just trim them. I get hedge clippers and I trim the flowers. Because they come with, it's the lavandin, it's the grosso lavandin, it's the ones that grow in province with the really long stems, and I just take them off and leave the plants. I don't usually wrap them because I just don't have time, but they're nice and big and woody. That's the way they're really grown. But you're right. If you cut it in the fall, you'll get all new growth in the spring because there's no old growth there. So you're forcing new growth in the spring, and you'll get that soft growth. Yeah.
Well, just with going off of that with this question here about how to cut things and when, I just watched a whole video that spoke about deadheading. Basically everything can get deadheaded perennials in 3 different stages, 3 different types. You're either twisting very gently and pulling the flower head off, you can cut back the stem that's fallen down from the base of it, or you do that hard base cut, depending on how it grows naturally. So it makes sense kind of for lavender that you're looking to almost keep it in that juvenile state, right? With the softer stems and not something harder to try to prolong its life.
I don't know if it would. I don't know. I mean, I get beautiful. I have 4 plants in a small raised bed, and I get hundreds of stalks. And I don't dry them or anything because I just don't have time to cut them and dry them. I just don't have enough time to do all that. But I mean, anyone who wants to come over can harvest as much as they want. I
would love to.
I think the deadheading also is for certain types of varieties. It promotes growth. For the bee balm, you're supposed to deadhead it so that it will bring in new flowers rather than have just dead, sad looking flowers on there. So you're supposed to deadhead the bee balm, but I think it depends on the flower.
Of course.
Yeah, bee balm's more of a soft stem. Yeah. Same with mint. Once mint flowers, they say to cut it down, it'll bring out new growth. I just don't have time to do it, and I just kind of let it do what it's going to do, and then in the springtime I see what I got left. But yeah, bee balm, I would think for flowers you probably would want to cut it down.
And don't even kill me after all this. She did ask about the butterfly bush, not bee balm.
Oh.
Sorry.
Butterfly bush. I don't know. I've cut it down to the ground and it keeps coming back. I can't get rid of the thing. So I don't know. I don't think.
Don't be too worried about
kill it.
Yeah, and I cut mine down halfway, so it seems like whichever way you do it, it comes back.
It comes back. All right. Thank you, guys. Any last questions or comments before we go into our announcements? It's a little after 9.
Yeah, let's move ahead to the announcements.
Okay. All right. So the next one will be Monday, August 23rd, 8 p.m. Hopefully you guys join us. Spread the word. Big event happening Wednesday. Michael, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. So, gosh, we've only met by Zoom. A lot of us, a couple of us have gone to each other's house or whatever, but if you can make it to the town park for the picnic, it's at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 18th. A lot of different groups from Sustainable Warwick will be there. Sustainable Warwick is sort of a bunch of diverse projects related to sustainability in different ways. And so it should be a great dinner. Zero waste, especially if you're going to somebody's house. When we do a zero waste potluck dinner, it makes a lot of sense. You don't bring anything that's going to make any garbage, but when you go to a park, you tend to want to bring everything out you brought with you. So zero waste picnic is, but do please try not to, bring something that you're from your garden. That would be the perfect thing to bring to the potluck dinner. And
we'd love to see you guys. That'd be great.
So where is it? 6 p.m. on Wednesday at the town park?
Yes, the town park out on Union Corners Road.
Right. If you drive in a little bit, there's like a picnic area, I guess that's where you'll be.
Right. So when you drive in, the first parking area you come to is for the Frisbee golf course.
Right.
Don't stop there. Keep going. And then you'll see a big pavilion on your left. That's where it's going to be. But if you go past that, there's a parking lot for the pavilion.
All right. And as I say, grow local, Greenwood Lake every week. But also Wednesday, I'll try to make, even though I'm supposed to be at the food swap, I'll try to make it next week. At 13, I can see I covered that a little bit, at a community garden, 13 Poplar Street in Greenwood Lake. You know, I'm trying to see if anyone has any extra zucchini, cucumbers, tomatoes that they can't use. You know, I'm hoping people come and kind of, again, form some kind of community, join, share things. And any excess will go to the senior center and food pantry. So I think it's a fun event. Hopefully maybe we'll start these all over the place. And thank you guys very much. It was great. And thanks for sharing all your harvest with us.
I just want to say one thing real quick. If anyone is up in the Montgomery area and they want to come and take a look at the community garden in the town of Montgomery, just let me know and I can meet you over there. I'd love to show you the garden. And everyone's invited. I mean, you know, I'd love to share. I love your guys' opinions and how you grow things. It's so cool to get everyone's different like outlook and ideas and stuff like that. So you know, I just want to extend the invitation. Anyone who's up in that area, just call me or text me or email me, and we can make arrangements. I'd love to show you the garden.
Mark, do you want to take pictures and be one of the updaters for next week?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I can do that. I'd love to do that.
Do you want to put your information or stuff on the chat right now?
Oh yeah. Let me.
Great idea.
Yeah, but it's an open invitation again. Like here's my. I'll give you my email. And it's, you know, just I'm like 5 minutes from the garden. So it's no big deal for me to run over there. You know, if I can work permitting to run over there and show it to you. Weekends I'm usually free. That's my and my phone number is 942132021. Feel free to text me. If you do text me, just let me know who you are, so I'm not thinking it's some kind of, you know,
crazy person.
Yeah. And yeah, open invitation, and I will take pictures and share it with you. I'd love to. I mean, it's in a beautiful park. It's really nice. I'd love to show you guys and share with you. And thank you so much for everything you guys say.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. You're a great addition. Thank you. And also, just real quick, I guess that Florida Library, I forgot to mention, is having this Wednesday. I guess they're talking about they're having a get together about tool exchanges and you know, all different ways people share things. If you want to join up for that, Florida Library, you can probably go to their website.
And there's one other event I want to tell people about. Of course, you know, researchers they agree on one thing, and that is gardeners and farmers are like a different species altogether. It's just some divergence of opinion on how much different they are. Next Sunday from 12 to 4 at Pine Island Park, there's the Warwick Area Farmworker organization. So they're committed to, I'm reading this off the other screen, sorry, committed to providing support services to the farm worker community in Orange County. So they are having an event, looks like there's going to be traditional Mexican foods and crafts made by children for sale. That's at the Pine Island Park from 12 to 4 on August 15th. Sounds like also something else, you know, people might want to be supporting. And so if you're available on Sunday, please go check it out and let us know how it went. I work on Sundays, so I look at events like that and say, oh, sounds great. And then
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Great.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks. Bye.